Hi guys, and welcome back. Today I'm going to be speaking on an actual, I guess a trend, no, not trend, but an actual, I guess, procedure that is combining federal officers and local PD, and for the purpose of actually fighting against the opiates. And it's much easier just to go to somebody in-house and ask them for help or ask them for some kind of actual support instead of actually having to call your local DEA or your local FBI branch and wait for basically a callback or wait for an actual uh, somebody to show up to get a game plan going. And so with that being said, some actual some cities, depending on their actual numbers for opiates for the crisis, they'll dispatch a certain amount of actual agents, whether it be FBI or there be DEA, and have them set up shop as almost like an actual a liaison, right? And so um, but but at the same time, you try not to actually insult or actually step on that department's ego. And so throughout this whole process, they've been actually recruiting from the actual police department officers to join their actual task force. But keep in mind, you're going from a actual local or state into an actual federal, so you have to actually apply just like everybody else. Of course, you'll have an upper hand because the fact they know who you are, they know where you're coming from, and so forth, right? So when you actually uh, conduct these actual type of recruitments, you also have the chance of actually recruiting somebody with bad habits. And we've seen it with the detective that I spoke in a few months ago about a detective who's actually sexually abusing females for dismissal of their cases, and he was a detective actually. And now we have one here who became from a Baltimore police officer to an actual DEA agent through a task force, right? So, the way the indictment reads, Baltimore police officer facing federal indictment for stealing $1,000 in informant funds from Baltimore Police Department, and he was actually in the department for since 2003. So he joined the actual task force, the DEA task force, 10 years later. You know, and so what ended up happening is that he was tasked with actually meeting up with a witness to a vehicular homicide, an actual homicide with the vehicle, right? So they had some inside information, and he actually checked out $1,000 in cash to give to this actual witness, you know, and after the exchange of information and the actual money, the witness actually recanted. They actually didn't want to be part of the actual witness. You know, he didn't want to be a witness after all. So at that point, the witness returned the money to the officer, but the officer kept the money. He didn't return it to the place where he actually checked it out. And that's just what they actually got him for sure. You know. Now, like I said, he's already coming in with bad habits. And when that happens, who else? What else is he doing? What else has he done? You know. And so now we're going back to his original two-count indictment that alleges that back in April 2016, he participated in an execution of a search warrant on Johns Avenue as a member of the DA Group 51. At that particular raid, law enforcement recovered 3 duffel bags containing large amounts of cash and a handwritten document with currency totals stating that there was 2,428,900 in the actual house. Now, this particular officer by himself transported the cash from the residence to another location where a search warrant had been executed. Why he did that, I don't know. And then he actually took it to the DA Baltimore office alone in his vehicle the entire time. The indictment alleges that during the drive from the St. John's Avenue to the DEA agent to the DEA office, he stole a portion of the cash that was seized. And ultimately, he took the actual seized cash to a professional counting service due to the large amount. So he took it to an actual uh, uh, business where they actually had money counting machines. Okay. The counting service found that the amount of cash seized, inclusive to any suspected counterfeit bills, which they will count as legit because no one knew they were counterfeit bills, or else they wouldn't have had it there, or they wouldn't have took them bills, right? So, and then it would total to be 975, 900, 900, 9,000. I said 9,000, $9,775 less than the actual log from that drug dealer that he had written down. It was almost $10,000 short. You know, the indictment also alleges that he went to his girlfriend's house, that his girlfriend's apartment, what he described to her as $8,000, $10,000 in cash that he hid in her actual bathroom. During the conversation about the money, he told his girlfriend that he was followed by another law enforcement officer while driving the actual cash from the search warrant site and to the money came from the big case that came out in the news. And a week later, he moved the actual money from her bathroom to his house. And with the actual alleged stolen money, he from the actual seizure, he bought his girlfriend like $300 pair of shoes. And he told and his girlfriend straight out said that as he actually let the girlfriend move in, she saw large sums of money hidden behind his refrigerator. And of course, he now he needed to talk to the FBI and work all that out, and he did, and he was insulted. He was insulted, and he stated at the end, I've never stolen anything in my life, never money or drugs. But the girlfriend said different. So I'll keep an eye on it, see what actually happens. We'll actually charge him with. Okay, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe.